from the past.
Please listen carefully.
CoCo.
Welcome to the CoCo Crew Podcast. A delicious adventure into the world of retro computing news and information. Featuring the Tandy Color Computer.
Hey, you got your CoCo 3 yet?
CoCo.
All right. Well, CoCo Cruisers, welcome back to episode 89 of the CoCo Crew Podcast. Moving along, let's see. CoCo Fest now is about 6 months away. Candy Assembly is a little behind us, so we'll prefer to think that months ahead. Of course, I'm here. I'm John Linville, and we're here with Mr. Neil Blanchard. Hello, Neil.
Hello, John.
How are you doing?
Doing well. Yeah, glad to be here recording the 89 already.
Very good, yeah. And of course, we have Mr. Mike Rowan. Hello, Mike.
Hello, everybody in the CoCo world.
Hopefully we're all here. And of course, Mr. Boise Pete. Hello, Boise.
Hi.
What have you guys been working on? Anything CoCo related lately?
I've been doing some CoCo stuff, actually, getting back into making some joystick adapters with your design.
Cool.
So it's CoCo related.
I recently grabbed the UUCP files from the repository and taking a look at dusting those off.
Oh, yeah? That's cool. Always thought that was a underused technology.
So, yeah, it's fallen out quite out of favor, but that's a fun retro thing to do. It's a pretty cool thing that the CoCo could participate in that network with Unix machines.
Yeah, back when Serial was still king. How about acquisitions? Anybody pick up anything new or cool or newer recently? Yeah, I've been slack on the eBay myself. Still got a long list of things for watching, but nothing coming here. I did get a care package from Neil with some cool stuff from the shelves of the store in Canada. That's things like Mars bars that aren't available here and flavored Cokes.
I did notice there's a New York Times color computer out there on eBay.
Still there. You know, that'll be the end of time when that finally moves off. That'll be
That's that's as long as we've been running the show here. Actually, a little bit longer.
Probably so. Yeah.
Probably.
Well, truth is, we've already been doing some recording, and you guys haven't heard it, but you will hear it later. So we're already kind of warmed up. So I'm going to cut the introduction short here, and we'll take a little break, and we'll be back with some announcements.
Since 1994, Cloud9 has made cool stuff for your color computer. Now Cloud9 is proud to announce the 2MB Triad Plus memory expansion board. The Triad Plus works in two ways. Purchase just the Triad Plus board to expand your Color Computer 3 from 128K to 512K of RAM. Or add the new Protector Plus MMU to access the full 2 megabytes of static RAM aboard the Triad Plus. And the Protector Plus MMU utilizes full buffering to protect your CPU. Unlike previous 2 megabyte memory expansions for the CoCo 3, the Triad Plus operates seamlessly without the need for special patches, configuration, or workarounds. Games like Donkey Kong Remix and Sierra Adventure games simply work without hassle. And the Triad Plus will reduce your CoCo's power consumption and heat generation. The Triad Plus and Protector Plus MMU, only from the innovative engineering of Cloud9. Cool stuff for your color computer. Visit cloud9tech.com for details.
All right, CoCo Cruisers, welcome back. Now it's time for some announcements. You are listening to the CoCo Crew Podcast. We are available on Twitter with the Twitter handle of @CoCo Crew Podcast. That's @CoCoCrewPodcast. If you'd like to send tweets, feel free to tweet at us, and we may tweet back to you. See, we are, of course, available on Facebook with a Facebook group called the CoCo Crew Podcast. Join up, and you may get a little early news or occasional interactions with the hosts or other listeners. Usually a lot of fun. We would love to have you join. See, we are a podcast, so we are available. We, of course, have an RSS feed available at CoCoCrew.org. If that's a little too DIY for you, then you can check us out through Apple Podcasts or through Google Play. Or if you're more of a streaming kind of person, then you can find us available for streaming on Spotify, on Stitcher, and on TuneIn. Well, basically the whole catalog now is available with a conversion that's been done from the audio podcast to a video form that's available on YouTube. And so you may want to check that out. The best part about consuming the podcast through YouTube is that YouTube does a pretty good job providing subtitles. So if you are hearing impaired, or perhaps if English is not your first language, you may enjoy having those subtitles as sort of a backup for if you have trouble understanding or figuring out what we're saying. Anyway, so check it out. Let's see, we are a member of the Throwback Network. This is a list of retro-themed podcasts organized around the 80s culture. If you are caught up on the CoCo Crew Podcast and looking for something else to listen to, we recommend that you check out the Throwback Network. Similarly, we are available on the Game by Game Podcast Information Hub. This is a list of retro-themed podcasts. In this case, all of them are about 80s era gaming technology or gaming systems or home computers. If you are caught up on the CoCo Crew Podcast, we recommend that you check out the Game by Game Podcast Information Hub. Audio for the CoCo Crew Podcast is hosted by Cyber Ears. If you have a need to host audio on the internet, whether it be for your own podcast or perhaps your place of worship, then we recommend that you check out the Cyber Ears, where you will get your audio on your terms. If you want to reach out to the host of the CoCo Crew Podcast, we have via email. We have a few addresses set up that you might want to use. Show, SHOW, at CoCoCrew.org, SHOW at COCOCRAW.org, podcast at CoCoCrew.org, that's PODCAST at CoCoCrew.org, and of course feedback, FEEDBACK, at CoCoCrew.org. If you want to reach just the individual hosts, then we have those email addresses available as well. Of course, I'm available as John, JOHN, at CoCoCrew.org. Neil is Neil, NEIL, at CoCoCrew.org. Mike is Mike, MIKE, at CoCoCrew.org. And Boise is Boise, BOISY, at CoCoCrew.org. Let's see, at this point we've got some announcements of events in the real life that we think might be of interest to the listeners. Let's see, coming up April 14th through 16th of 2023, we have VCF East. It's a great event held in Wall, New Jersey at the InfoH Science Center. You'll see a lot of vintage computers on display and also get a chance to check out the museum. So if you're looking for a retro computing event in the northeast part of the United States, then we recommend you check out the Vintage Computer Festival East, April 14th through 16th of 2023. Let's see, coming up after that, let's see, showing July 28th through the 30th, Southern Fried Gaming Expo. This will be held in Atlanta, Georgia at the Marriott Renaissance Waverly, 28th through the 30th, 2023. Southern Fried Gaming Expo features more than 300 arcade and pinball machines, dozens of new and retro console systems, a massive tabletop library, RPGs, wrestling, music, tournaments, a vendor expo, exciting panel sessions, guest speakers, and so much more. Game all weekend at SFGE 2023. If you're in the Texas looking for an event, check out the biggest gaming retro event in Texas. So that's Classic Game Fest, July 22nd and 23rd, 2023. Be held at Palmer Event Center in Austin, Texas. Enjoy 75,000 plus square feet of retro video games and fun at the Palmer Event Center overlooking Lady Bird Lake and downtown Austin skyline. Palmer Event Center is conveniently located only a short walk from many hotels, restaurants, bus stops, and bike rental stations. So that's Classic Game Fest, July 22nd and 23rd, 2023. April 22nd and 23rd, 2023. That's the 31st annual last Chicago CoCo Fest. That's a big CoCo event. sponsored by Glenside. Be a cool event if you're a CoCo person and you're interested in going to the Chicago area in April, then you should check it out. All right, well, that's the end of our announcements. Kind of made a hash of it. Sorry about that.
The Dragon is back with 64K. Hurla, Dragon's back. Serial port in the case is gray. Hurla, Dragon's back. ROMs for two kinds of basic. New ways for you to be creative. Fully compatible with the Dragon 32.
Dragon Data Limited is proud to present the new Dragon 64. It has twice the memory of the Dragon 32, featuring a real serial communications port.
Get your Dragon 64 today. Hurla, Dragon's back. Dragon Data Limited.
All you've wanted in a computer and more. The TDP System 100, a complete system ready to plug into your color TV set. It features 16K of memory, expandable to 32K at any TDP service center nationwide, and expand from 32 to 64K through Southco, the Georgia distributor. Raised keyboard with gold contacts. Standard basic built-in from Microsoft. RS-232 interface device built right in. RF interface for direct hookup to any TV built in. Programming manuals included at no charge. Bust-out game pack included at no charge. Joysticks included at no charge. The suggested retail price is only $379 from Southco Sales Corporation.
All right, CoCo Cruisers, welcome back. Now it's time for some news. The first item we have for news from Jerky. He says, since we weren't able to ship these V.3 boards, I still have a stack of them and parts to build up at least a few. He's kind of posting in the MM1 group. So it's got kind of a long story there about how he ended up with some of the parts for the MM1, which is basically a stack of boards that sandwiched together. Long story short, when everything went belly up, he ended up still holding the boards. Or looking for an MM1 board, you may want to reach out to what he has available. Very cool. All right, let's see. The next link also from a Joel, but this was Joel Reese. Adventures getting VTL2, a very tiny language, running on ExtraSound. He got a little blog post. So he's been working on getting VTL resurrected. Something I'd been briefly involved with, and he's taken the project under his wing and taking it a lot farther. And along with reviving it on the 6800 and 6801 or 6803 for the MC10, he's working on a 6809 port. And started with targeting ExtraSim for the 6809. So very cool. A lot to learn there. Check it out. I think the end result is something that runs on the CoCo eventually. So if that interests you at all, you want to check out what Joel's doing, his project, to see how that's all going. Another opportunity for exercising your programming skills. All right, this next link up comes from a Jim Gary. Ever heard of that guy? He's posted a link for a game, a Form, I guess. CoCo 3. Anyway, it says Inufotto is doing stuff for the CoCo 3 now. So that's someone, I think in Japan, that's been posting about some of the stuff he's been doing and some of his CoCo related. So if that's something that interests you, you may want to check out what he's got going for the CoCo 3. Maybe even you can find a way to download it and play it. All right, and the next, really two links, are from Mr. Chet Simpson. Here's a small tech demo of Space Pirate Kumiko, playable on a real CoCo 3. None of that emulator-only garbage here. So basically, he's been working on Kumiko and posting about it for a while, making some progress and getting closer to something that you can play. What's interesting to you, you may want to check out. Like I said, there's two, at least, well, maybe both of them. You can check out the code and you see how it plays, and maybe it'll whet your appetite to view some more of Chet's videos and see what he's made available, and see what you can learn from it. The second video is called, says brand new playable demo with more patterns, first shots, and more dynamic scripting.
Next news article kicking off my set here is from Jim Gary.
Okay.
He has ported another game called Dark Castle by Darren Anderson from 1984. This game was actually on the TRS-80 color computer, so it's a little different than going from another machine. So I guess you can kind of say it's downgrading a little bit to the MC-10, but Jim knows how to do this, so he can work his magic on that machine. Great job, Jim. All right, next one up is from Jim Brain, the president for Glenside. Grant and I, on behalf of the Glenside Color Computer Club Board of Directors, are pleased to confirm the location and date for the 2023 31st Annual Last Chicago CoCo Fest. It is at a new location this year. Yes, all the information's up there. The hotel block rooms are there for $119 a night, so that's not bad. They got 140 rooms, it shows. That should be plenty of space. Get your booking in. All right, next one up is from Mike Rojas. Okay, who is ready to restore some membrane keyboards? I have tested the membrane replacements in my CoCo 1, 2, and 3, and now ready to begin shipping some boards. I have a couple of these. They do work well. I only got the CoCo 3 ones, though, and I know, Boise, you got some. You've had some success. If you have a CoCo keyboard with a bad Mylar, then this is what you want to get. All right, next news article is from Just Noah. It's a Facebook post. New academic book that includes the Vectrex. So I guess that's why you included it, John. It's got the 6809 in there.
It's a 68, not a CoCo, a 6809. But, if you're into this kind of book, maybe it's interesting for you. It is a little pricey, if I recall.
Yeah, they say it's academic pricing.
Yeah, so it's €105.99. So,
Yeah,
like I said, pretty pricey.
That's up there, yeah. You notice the cover on that? Something's wrong with that picture.
The cartridge is on the wrong side.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, cool though.
Yeah.
I've always liked the Vectrex.
Yeah, never trust the box art.
No. So true for the old 80s games, too.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm dead. But check out that high score.
How did you do that?
With the Gamester. It's a real arcade joystick with arcade buttons.
Can I try?
Sure.
Wow, this has really got some weight to it.
Yeah, it's made of real wood.
Is this walnut?
Yep. You can choose any wood or finish when you order yours.
It looks great, and this joystick is amazing.
It's smooth, and the buttons are great. You can choose a custom cable length, or even get a left-handed version.
I'm sold. Where do I get mine?
Introducing the Gamester. The Gamester is the ultimate 2-button joystick controller for your color computer, Dragon, and Tandy 1000. The Gamester features a genuine arcade-quality joystick with 2 large arcade-quality cherry switch buttons on a single surface. Every Gamester is built to order. Choose the wood for your cabinet. Choose custom paint or stain and finishes. The Gamester is designed to last a lifetime. To build yours, simply reach out to Neil Blanchard by email. Neil@cococrew.org. That's NEIL@COCOCREW.org. Experience genuine arcade controller action for all of your favorite color computer, Dragon, and Tandy 1000 computer games. For true arcade action, it's the Gamester.
This is so unfair. I really want a floppy disk drive for my color computer, but $270 is simply unaffordable.
That's understandable, but have you heard of the Undisk?
Undisk? I don't understand.
Undisk is uncomplicated. It's software that utilizes unused memory in your color computer. You can save and load programs with Undisk, and it's available for the unbelievable price of just $49.95.
That is unbelievable.
Unquestionably. It's easy to load and easy to use for the uninitiated. And since it stores everything in unused memory, the speed of Undisk is unmatched.
The possibilities seem unlimited.
Undoubtedly. Undisk is much faster than a cassette and allows you to unleash your color computer's full potential without being unaffordable.
Uncanny.
The Undisk from Dr. Preble's Programs.
All right, our next link is from Ian Bogust. 6 shifts are dying. When they go, something bigger than driving will be lost. Someone who learned to drive on a stick shift, and I still own a stick shift car. I can relate to this, and I'm sure you've included this because it applies to 8-bit computers as well.
Yeah.
The whole gist of the article is that when you're in a stick shift car, you feel like you're in control. You're more participating in the driving experience and having direct control over the engine RPM and what gear you're in. It makes you feel closer to the action, if you will. And the same applies to 8-bit computers, where in the CoCo is kind of in a sweet spot where you've got the 8-bit, 16-bit kind of combination. It's simple enough that you can understand what's happening in the machine and you feel a lot closer to it. And when you work on modern systems, which are, of course, fantastic, but our operating systems and things give us so many layers of abstraction that it's not the same experience.
It's a different way of doing things, and certainly is that sense of control, maybe more responsibility. Truth is, it also gives you a lot more opportunity to screw up your car, riding the clutch and doing bad things. But it's hard to find a stick shift these days, even for cheap cars. So, in fact, I think they're probably more expensive these days. But
yeah, they're phasing them out. They'll simply stop manufacturing them one day. And the big benefit is no one can steal my car.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, we got another one here from Chet Simpson. Working in assembly language is tedious and difficult, kind of like a sober prom date. This is
Chet showing his humor, but
yeah, this is a fairly short video, but Chet is just talking about how assembly language is tedious, and you can just be one byte off in something, or just miss one small thing in an assembly program, and it'll crater your code. And he's got a little video demonstrating that, showing you that even if you're at the master level of Professor Chet on programming, he's just as susceptible to a one error that takes the program into La La Land fairly quickly. So check that video out. All right, our next one is from Paul Shoemaker. Here are a couple of videos of stuff I'm working on, or maybe just having fun with, in P Mode 1. Paul has put out some games recently, and a number of card games that he's worked on. I've always been impressed with his use of the different color modes, particularly his use of yellow. So always entertaining and cool to see what Paul is up to.
Yeah, very cool.
Thanks for that, Paul. Be sure to check that link out. And we have one from Alan Huffman. Go sub, stack overflows, and 6809 stack jumping. So this is another article from Alan. He, from time to time, will generate a bunch of articles and discussions of the deep down details of what's going on inside the CoCo. And this is a good discussion and explanation of highlights the differences between go sub, and what's happening with stack. If you're looking to learn more about what's happening at the machine level when you're using these commands, you should definitely check out Alan's website and check out this link for sure.
Yep, cool. All right, next on the Chet Simpson and Alan Huffman show, I have a link from Chet to a disk image. It says, here's a King's Quest slideshow for your CoCo 3 with 512K. Includes 22 high-res 320 by 192 images, including the title, on a standard single-sided 35-track RSDIS formatted disc. Enjoy. A lot of images from King's Quest, and we kind of can demo the graphics capability on the CoCo. Chet's made that available for us, so looking for a graphics distraction. Something to demo what your CoCo can do. You may want to load up some of these images and wow your friends. So, very cool. All right, so let's see. I'm moving back to, here's one from Alan Huffman. I'm going to pronounce it as Deaf Fun, because that's always the way it was said in my head. But DEF space FN, so as in the extended color basic commands or defined function for fun and profit. And again, it's one of his in-depth articles on how basic does a thing. He starts out saying he got a comment on another article from Rogelio Pereira. Is still learning something new about the CoCo even after all these years. Excellent article. Would there ever be one about Def Fun? So there you go, inspired by comments. So if you're on the fence about making a comment on something that someone's produced for the CoCo, here's evidence that asking a question or making a comment is a good way to get what you're interested in. So he goes into it. So basically, it's a def fun or defined function. Is sort of a way to it's almost like a macro language to use to you can define a function in BASIC so that instead of having to type out a long string of text for an equation or something like that, you can give it a nicer name and then call it similar to the way SYN or AS are called, and it kind of simplifies the text of your BASIC program, akin to the way functions are written in more modern languages. So, check it out. Might help you with being more productive in extended color BASIC. So again, that's like many of Alan's articles, pretty in depth and informative. So check it out. We've got another link from Chet Simpson. This quickie visual comparison of the speed difference of loading uncompressed and compressed data with decompression occurring during load rather than as a post-load step. So he's basically got side-by-side videos that kind of shows the speed comparison. So obviously advocating for decompressing on the fly. Pretty interesting. Little, like you said, like a lot of Chet stuff. He kind of shows up with the receipts and shows how it works, and probably makes sense for you to if you need to press a little more stuff into memory and what kind of costs you're going to play at runtime. So check it out. Thanks, Chet. And of course, one more back to Alan Huffman, the color basic and 16 bits and or and not. So he walks through some examples in Color Basic, Extended Color Basic, of doing some Boolean operations, doing some detective work to see kind of how they work underneath. So if you've ever wondered about the specifics of Boolean operations in Color Basic and what they're actually doing to the bits, Alan has the answers for you. So check out his video. Maybe you'll learn something.
All right, the next news item is, okay, I've got a version of very tiny language VTL2 running on the color computer by Joel Reese. This is a Facebook post by Joel that talks about a project that he's been working on. I think this looks like part 5 of getting VTL2, which I'm not familiar with, to the 6809. It looks like a fun language program project.
Yeah, I think the language looks a lot of fun, kind of at a similar layer of abstraction as BASIC, a different language, and you can do some different things in. So if you're looking for a programming project or a programming environment to work on, maybe one that you should take some interest in.
The next news item is drawing a maze level on the CoCo, parts 1 through 5 by Alan Huffman. It looks like he goes into what looks like a Pac-Man maze in BASIC. Describes how to structure a program with data statements to draw a maze.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff.
The next news item is just some quick post-weekend testing by the amazing Mr. Chet Simpson. This is a YouTube video, a Facebook video, where he posts and goes through some things he's working on. The screenshots look amazing on this game. Chet does not disappoint. Very good work.
For versatile, powerful word processing on the CoCo 3, look no further than WordPower 3. Written in 100% machine language, no other word processor offers the speed, power, or flexibility of WordPower 3. Editing is effortless with WordPower 3. Access the help screen anytime. Features include split screen editing, mail merge, on-screen 2-column print, spell checker, punctuation checker, and a built-in 4-function calculator accessible while you edit. Printing is a breeze with WordPower 3's built-in print spooler. No more waiting on your printer. Print a large job while you work on another. WordPower 3 provides for up to 72K of text on a 128K system and over 450K of text on a 512K system. That's more text than any other CoCo 3 word processor. WordPower includes a quick reference card and full instruction manual for just $79.95. Step up to the power and versatility of professional CoCo 3 word processing software. Step up to WordPower 3 from Microcom Software.
It's spooktacular savings on scary games at your local Radio Shack dealer. Save up to 50% on best-selling titles such as 13 Ghosts, Bedlam, Dancing Demon, Haunted House, Dungeons of Daggerath. These games are sure to please you and your family as you hand out candy to anyone who knocks at your door. It's a happy Halloween from Radio Shack, a Tandy company.
The next news item is my biggest customers and the place where most of the money comes from are the industrial users by Bo Hamilton. This is a Slashdot post talking about a gentleman named Tom Persky, founder of floppydisk.com, who is the last man standing in the floppy business. He claims that his biggest customers are from the airlines. The airlines are one of his big customers. They still use floppy disks for avionics. That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, I guess once they're installed, as long as they still work, that's what you should use.
Can you imagine a 747 with a floppy disk? It's just nuts.
Well, I trust it over some other media.
Well, there you go.
As long as it's not running DOS.
Well, and that's a perfect segue into my news section here. First top one I have is called Floppy Disk Fever, The Curious Afterlives of Flexible Medium. So this is a pre-order book on Amazon. Yeah, it looks like a cool read. I'm tempted to actually pre-order this one. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I think I did pre-order it. So.
yeah, that's great. If you're looking for a book to read over the holidays, it's like it's released November 15th, so be a Christmas gift for you. Keep that under the tree. All right, next one is from Chet Simpson. It's a live YouTube video he did for Septandy for his game Space Pirate Kumiko, implementing UI elements. Fortunately, the audio doesn't work for the first 26 minutes. He had his microphone muted, I think. After that, you have audio. But nonetheless, cool video to check out. Pretty impressive stuff he's doing on that game. Next one is another YouTube video made by Ken Waters, aka Canadian Retro Things, and it's the video on the top five games you must try on the Color Computer, and I'm going to say the Color Computer 3 because these are all CoCo 3 games he has listed here. What's interesting is these are all arcade ports that he's reviewed. So there's Robotron, 2084, Pac-Man, Donkey Kong Joust, and Defender. Most of those were done by Glenn Hewlett and then Sockmaster for Donkey Kong. So that's pretty cool. Very impressive ports, arcade ports. You can enjoy on your.
Yeah, not a lot of nostalgia in that one. It's not just Donkey King or whatever.
Right. Yeah. That's all pretty recent stuff. And the next one is from Chet Simpson again. This is interesting. Here's the atlas for the cavern level in Super Pitfall for the CoCo 3. I never knew this before until he broke this down. So he's just showing the difference between the NES version on this level versus the CoCo 3 version on how it's missing stuff. So it looks like he wants to implement this at some time. That'd be awesome to see that. Yeah. Cool stuff, Chet. Great work.
Definitely cool.
All right, our next one is from John Philip Jones. Machine code instruction. This looks like a pretty cool series. This is more of a general, I guess for lack of a better term, generic machine code instruction video. Just talking about machine language and the structure of it. So even though it's not specifically geared to the CoCo, it's a useful instruction if you're interested in getting involved with working with machine language. This is a good primer for that for sure. And looks like he has other videos that are out there. So I found this very informative and educational. Moving on to our next link, it's from Alan Huffman, my 1988 Tidy Disk program. This is kind of a neat write-up, and Alan talks about what this is a basic program that he wrote to clean up or zero out free parts of the disk. And this wasn't for privacy concerns like you might find today, where you want to erase the trail of a deleted file where you've just overwritten the first character in the directory or whatever, and the data is actually still out there. But this had to do with modem transfers back in the day. Different tools he was using. When it would transfer data from a disk, it would transmit all of this deleted data as well, or whatever trash was out there. So he wrote this program that's why it's called Tidy Disk, to basically zero out and null out, overwrite all of that data, so that when the modem programs ran, it would stop transmitting all of this garbage when it copied the disk. And when you're running at 1200 bits per second, that was a big deal. So. But Alan talks about it and shares the code out there. Pretty cool. Definitely take a look at that, and that basic code will probably show you how to do some fancy stuff on your disks. And our next one is from Hugo DeFort. Living dangerously. Some of you will figure it.
Yeah.
This is pretty cool. Basically showing you what happens when you end up with an illegal instruction on the CPU.
Yeah, I think he's looking for the halt and catch fire instruction. That basically, I guess that one somehow locks the CPU into an endless loop until it overheats. So anyway, I don't recommend doing that, but if that interests you, there's a little piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, what to avoid. Yeah. And we have a nice seasonal one here from Paul Shoemaker. Starts off here with a quote from Linus Van Pelt from the Peanuts comic strip. I don't see how a pumpkin patch can be more sincere than this one. You can look around and there's not a sign of hypocrisy. Nothing but sincerity as far as the eye can see. And included in this is a virtual disc with a simple Halloween Great Pumpkin demo, should anyone wish to see it in person. Of course, you follow the link, you can see it. So it's a picture of Linus from Peanuts in the pumpkin patch that displays nicely on your CoCo.
That's nice.
Yeah. So thanks for the little Halloween treat there, Paul.
Yeah, for all your CoCo set up for the Halloween trick-or-treaters out on the porch.
There you go.
Yeah, that is cool. That is neat. Thank you, Paul. All right, the next news item is Pop-Up Windows in Color Basic by, yet again, Alan Huffman. Alan continues his awakening by writing an article on pop-up windows in Color Basic, pop-up windows being windows that apparently show and hide what's underneath them temporarily to show information and disappear. Goes into detail again in Basic on how to do this. Very interesting. The next news item is, so after a little more work and another couple of hours of auto writing, I have something much closer to the original D32 Issue 2 board with a couple of small modifications by Julian Brown. This is on the Dragon 3264 owners Facebook group. Yeah. This is a pretty significant board. This is actually the Dragon 32 board. I'm assuming he's redoing it or playing around with it, John? Is that right?
I'm not sure his motivation, but he seems to be reproducing the board, and I'm not sure where he's going to go from it once he has it completed. But presumably, if you're looking to build a Dragon 32, Julian is your guy.
Very impressive. All right, the next news item is 3 parts. Alan Huffman again, exploring 1984 OS 9 on a 64K color TRS-80 color computer. Alan goes through and talks about the history briefly of the CoCo and OS 9 Level 1, how it came out, microware's involvement, and then uses the emulator Xror to actually run it and do some commands. Nice little primer. And the next news item is something that's near and dear to my heart. I like this. It's called the HDD Clicker by Root42 at YouTube. Talk about taking retro computing down to the detail. This is like a small little board that has a speaker on it that emulates the sound of a hard drive clicking.
Yeah, the head movement, yeah.
SD cards. This is pretty neat. My goodness.
Yeah, if you can't imagine the clicks for yourself, it's a way to add some retro ambiance to your retro computing experience.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
It's cool, but I, for one, don't miss it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As they say, the world don't move to the beat of just one drum.
There you go.
Exactly.
Oh, well. Well, that's the end of our news. So why don't we take another little break, and I'll be back with some feedback.
New from ENG Systems Laboratories, the keyboard beeper cartridge. It plugs right into your color computer's expansion port, but still allows you to connect any other device using the inline transparent expansion port. The cartridge has an onboard speaker. Hear a beep as any key is pressed, significantly reducing typing errors. LED power indicators monitor the 5-volt, plus 12-volt, and minus 12-volt power supplies. Flip a switch to enable or disable a cartridge detect line. Power up into basic or a game pack. Best of all, it has an easily accessible reset switch right on the cartridge pack. No more feeling around blindly behind the computer trying to find the reset switch. All of these features and no modifications to your color computer are required. The keyboard beeper cartridge is just $59.95 plus postage and handling. Another great product from ENG Systems Laboratories, Springfield, Virginia.
This month in CoCo history.
Welcome to This Month in CoCo History, where we explore events in the life of our favorite home computer. I'm Boise Pete, and this month we go back 36 years to the October 1986 issue of the Rainbow magazine and revisit a bit of Halloween foolery. On pages 108 and 112 is a basic listing from Helene Labonville for The Great Talking Pumpkin, a graphical treat for the CoCo 1 and 2 that opened its mouth if the joystick button was pressed or closed if not. The note suggested hooking up a cassette cable from the CoCo to an audio amplifier, then using the audio on command in BASIC to route the audio to the TV speakers. With this setup, one could play music through the amplifier and press the joystick button to mimic the pumpkin's mouth moving when speech occurred. The program used extended BASIC's circle, paint, and draw commands on two P-Mode 4 screens to render the jack-o'-lantern in both open and closed mouth positions, then monitored the joystick button to switch between the screens. Perhaps a program like this is overly simplistic compared to what computers can do today, but in 1986, it captured both the spirit of the CoCo and of Halloween perfectly.
And that's This Month in CoCo history.
All right, CoCo Cruisers, welcome back. We've got some real feedback this time. Let's see, both of them are related to our host discussion about OS 9, too little too late, or too much too soon. Which we get the comment from Mr. James Jones, obviously an OS 9 aficionado. He says, I like the host discussion this month, but I couldn't help imagining the title, OS 9 Threat or Menace, with a smiley face, he says. So you can definitely see how it might, especially a veteran of the times, it would still bring up some old feelings about the OS 9 discussions of the past. So thanks, James, for the feedback. Good to hear from you. He also, on the same general topic, hear from Mr. Brian Weasler. Says, I really enjoyed the host discussion on OS 9. enjoyed hearing the different perspectives that everyone had. So good. So that's why we had the discussions. So thank you, Brian. It's good to hear from you. All right. So that's the end of our feedback. So back to break time, and then we'll be back with, the rest of the show.
Active Software is proud to present Games Tape 1. Find out what critics are calling the best collection of Dragon games available. 8 fantastic full-length programs on one cassette. That's an incredible 200K. Each game features spectacular color graphics and sound. You get Wipeout, Interplanetary Trader, Wampus Mansion, Hilo, Atom Hunt, Snail Pace, Execution, and Air Assault. All of these great games for just £6.25, and that includes postage. Plus, our unconditional replacement guarantee. If your cassette fails to load, just return it to Active Software for an immediate replacement. All orders are dispatched within 48 hours of receipt. Order your copy of Games Tape 1 today. Active Software, 117 Eichnield Street, Birmingham. Active Software, second to none.
Welcome back, CoCo Cruisers. Today we've got a little treat for you. We have a kind of a TRS-80 celebrity of sorts, Mr. Ian Mavric. Hello, Ian. Ian, how you doing?
How do you do, John? Very good.
Doing well here. So we recently had the Tandy Assembly in Ohio, Springfield, Ohio. We had some emergencies or weather-related stuff, and at least part of it weather-related, and we ended up a little short-handed. Ian was there with his son, and they both stepped in and was out quite a bit. Ian was sort of the de facto master of ceremonies for the event.
Yeah, it was definitely the Ian Mavric show this time. It was it was as the case of the show must go on, and we were aiming to pull Tandy Assembly out of its COVID slumber, as it were, and try and make it as good as previous ones or better. So I stepped up. I had three speaking, 3 presentation roles, and I think we did a pretty good job. So we'll talk about each of them as we come to them during the show.
Cool. So very good, and you certainly were affable and entertaining, and definitely a plus to the show. So that was great to have you. I think attendance was pretty good this time. I think Mike probably knows the more precise numbers, but definitely was a full house. Lots of exhibits, so that was cool. I was a little disappointed. The CoCo participation was a little light, but there was lots of P80 based systems and lots of good intelligent talks, and a great show. I really enjoyed it. Thought we had a good venue. Like I said, we had the Friday technical day, and like I said, a lot of good presentations. And then by Saturday, we had Ian in a suit. So
I'm always in a suit. What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, that's probably true.
But I up the game later on in the day, yeah.
So, of course, we have Neil. Hello, Neil.
Hello, John, and everyone listening.
Neil was not an attendee this time. Hopefully he will be coming by next year at least. They'll straighten things out with the border.
That would be nice.
That would definitely be nice. We also have Mike Rowan. Hello, Mike.
Hello. I'm grateful to you stepping up, Mav. I couldn't attend this year because I had to turn around and go back because of Hurricane Ian. A different Ian.
Yeah. I wish we had recordings of Mike out fighting the storm and lots of wind-blowing sounds and whatever. But he managed to hold back the tides, I think. And so, and of course, have Mr. Boise Pete. Hello, Boise. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. Good to be with you, Ian. Really enjoyed visiting with you. We had a great time visiting at Tandy Assembly. Just a wonderful guy.
I try to be. we both had a shared common problem. We're both getting over a cold for
yes,
Tandy Assembly, and we're both, or I'm not being inaccurate, saying we're both in our 50s, and getting over a cold takes a lot
that's
longer.
right.
Than,
You said
than
it
it
right
does
there, brother.
when I was younger. So, but yeah, I ran on adrenaline for most of the show, so it was a mammoth effort and well worth it. And I caught up with both John and Boise, and had a good talk with both guys there. So I'm sort of already looking forward to 23 and how we can make it better. But we can sort of discuss a bit about what was so great about Tandy Assembly 2022. For those who haven't heard of me before, my name's Ian Mavric. I'm from Melbourne, Australia. My main focus is the Z80 or Z80 based TRS-80s, though I do make a small and popular bunch of color computer accessories like disk controllers and diagnostic carts and serial interfaces, just to keep the CoCo purists happy. And I have a bit of fun with my color computer here, so that's my sort of involvement in the color computer. But my history with Tandy Assembly goes back to the first one. I think during one of the trash talks, the guys there said to me, maybe jokingly, we're organising this thing called Tandy Assembly. You're gonna come all the way from Australia to this thing, and I mean, I'm at that age where I can decide and do these sort of things, and I do like to be active in the community. So I was the first one to say, "Yep, I'll be there." And apart from 2021, due to travel restrictions, I've been to all of them now, and they've all been really good. So I think if they're not already considered that, they're on their way to being the premier TRS-80 and Tandy focused event that everyone would want to be at. So what's your thoughts on that, Mike?
Oh, definitely. I think our attendance was back up to the pre-pandemic levels. There seems to be a lot of excitement with the people there, and it is a great show to attend. If you haven't, you really should plan on 2023. It's only getting better. Even if you're not into the other Tandy computers, or if you have a favorite Tandy computer, you can still learn a lot and get advice from all different sorts of people, and get ideas from people that work with other systems. So I think that's what makes it more enjoyable, is you kind of break out of the shell of just focusing on one machine, and you get a whole plethora of them that are related and have similarities because they were all Tandy and Radio Shack. So
yeah, I think just about every computer was, except for some really obscure ones, I think just about every computer was represented there. We even had some rare ones like the Tandy 2000s and the portables and things like that. But I thought there was a good level of color computer representation there, maybe bordering on, a quarter or a third of the tables were CoCo related, and they did have a lot of tables there. If we could get a few more of the CoCo regulars there, it could be a real mixing pot of all different Tandy systems. So it's looking good.
Yeah, it's cool. The participation we do get is a kind of a little more technical level than say at CoCo Fest for the most part. So. And it you get talks on how to use oscilloscopes and logic analyzers and that sort of thing. I think you get in the crowd, you have a lot of hands-on experience with dealing with floppy disk drives and stuff like that. That is maybe a tangential to the CoCo or whatever specifically, but it's a good skill to have in your back pocket. There's a lot of neat projects going on, and a lot of enthusiasm for the retro computing in general. So it's a good crowd.
It's a good show. You can always come away learning something there. That's the tech track, the addition of the tech track tutorial and education sessions, I think is very good. They're short and sweet. They don't go over an hour in length, but you do learn a lot, and the presentation style of everyone is top notch. And it's great. You can go up to them afterwards, talk about it, and people came up and talk to me about my history lesson of what I talked about, the Dick Smith System 80 computer. So it's definitely worth it, even just for that. It's more than just a sort of a show up, look at stuff, and perhaps buy something and go home. So it's really good for that.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I agree that for anybody who's listening who hasn't been to Tandy Assembly, you definitely should plan to go. And I think you'll be surprised at what you walk away learning, being there around technical people. And as you said, the presentations are short. I just encourage everybody to attend.
Before I just continue talking, I'd like to hear everyone else's thoughts of the improved trivia game that we had.
All accounts, it was a success, and people seem to enjoy it.
It was pretty late, admittedly. We're gonna fix that next year to make sure that it starts on time.
Yeah.
I thought the trivia was perfect. It was well done. I like the fact that the champion from last year came on. Didn't he win again, Mav? Didn't Eric win again?
Yeah, he won last year and he won this year. I made the joke that if he wins 3 times, I'm going to have to come out of retirement and start playing again. Basically, I made some changes to it in that I took my long experience with pub trivia and tried to include some of the more fun elements of that in it. And I think it worked pretty well, even with the late start. Once people got their head around what I was doing, which was that we had the 3 contestants up the front who were playing the main game, which is around 60 questions, some of them quite difficult. And then we had an audience game where everyone in the audience got a question and answer sheet, and every 10 or so questions with the main players, I would stop and ask the audience a question. Audience involvement is always a fun thing, and I'm thinking I got some good feedback from that, and thanks for your thoughts on that as well, boys. I think it went pretty well, and I'm looking forward to next year. I hope we get a full house at 8 o'clock next year with everyone with pens in hand ready to go. I think people didn't understand what I meant when I said, come to trivia and bring your pen.
Well, I like the fact that you had audience participation. That was pretty cool. It was a good addition.
Yeah, it really sorts out the the who knows what's and who thinks they know more. So, but I like doing that, and I think that helps that helps bring people back. We had some sound issues there which we need to work on, but other than that, I like the improvement, and we managed to. I'm just sort of talking to Mike here. I managed to convince the people at the reception at the Marriott to print off all the sheets for me. So that was the only concern. I didn't bring any with me from Australia. So
I got a big stack of them right here, but they didn't make it.
Okay. Well, you can shred them now. You can shred them now, Mike. They're no longer needed. But and try to infuse the game with some humour and a little bit of light ribbing as well, which is typically me. So Neil, are you going to be up playing next year?
Oh, definitely. And I also want to mention, from a standpoint of not being able to make it to the show this year, watching it virtually, you were fantastic. I mean, the commentary you had during both the auction and the trivia was very entertaining. So, and I got a lot of feedback from other people as well that were watching from home. So, a great job, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, I really felt at home at this sort of event. It's no one really loves public speaking, but I sort of years ago in my capacity of my normal previous jobs, I sort of thought I got to face this fear, which is that's what I suggest to everyone to do if they don't like public speaking, is to just force yourself to do it, and you learn it pretty quickly. And if everyone's on your side, which they are at Tandy Assembly, it is a lot of fun, actually. So
friendly crowd and a good group of people, and you certainly were an entertaining speaker or entertaining presenter and entertaining host for the trivia, and that leaves out the auctioneering, which apparently you've become an expert at that as well.
My joke at the start of the auction to sort of put a smile on everyone's face said, I've watched 3 minutes of a 5-minute video on YouTube on how to be an awesome auctioneer. So I think I've got it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
But in actual fact, when in my real life, when I was younger, in between jobs, I go to a lot of auctions of surplus computer equipment in order to just buy stuff and make ends meet, but while I get another job and things like that. So I've been to something like, I'd say 500 of these auctions. So I kind of, it all came back pretty quickly once I got started. I know the pacing, I know the terms, I know how to sort of keep the audience engaged and how to rib people who are, I don't know, undecided or just basically deserve it, because some people try some funny things out there. and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm hoping I'm invited back next year to do the auction next year, because that was definitely fun. We just need some more interesting things. I think we had a good selection of auction items. I think it went well. What do you think, John?
It was a pretty good collection of table. You did a good job moving along on the things that were low dollar or not gonna draw a lot of attention, or the things that were, duplicates and triplicates and whatever. You had a good taste for moving those along. So, and like you said, it's a pretty good system, I guess, that Randy's got set up for being able to get video of the stuff up on the screen, so that we don't have to have a lot of people shuffling around to to looky-loo at stuff. So yeah, I think it went pretty well.
I was going to add, Mav and I had talked, and I told Mav he needs to get on YouTube and watch those videos where those auctioneers get their little riddle going on. They're 75. Pretty cool.
Mate, I'm an Australian. I'm not a Texan. I know. I've watched those. I've watched those shows on TV. The Texas flip and So the hurricane was interesting in that it was named in honor of my visit. So that was
true. Very true.
That was big of it, and my journey this year was surprising, because previously the airlines would run me from Melbourne or Sydney to LA to Chicago to Dayton. This year, apart from charging like wounded bulls, for want of a better word, they sure saw me. They sure saw me and the boy coming and said, "Yeah, let's charge them the earth for the privilege." But I half expect it with the cost of airline fuel and everything. So they sent us this year from Melbourne to Sydney to LA, then to Charlotte, North Carolina, and then to Dayton, which is kind of zigzagging a little across the United States. So it was and it was interesting landing in Charlotte, because at the time that we landed in Charlotte, the hurricane was just sort of, it hadn't reached the United States yet. It was just building up in its ferocity, and I was overhearing some pilots saying that they're bringing all the 767s from Florida and parking them at Charlotte there to get them out of the way. Obviously, a jetliner being hit by a hurricane, even if it's parked, is not a good look. So
yeah.
And as the sort of the weekend progressed, I was watching the news and things like that. They were saying that they're even Charlotte, North Carolina, was on high alert. So they probably have to double hop those 767s up another state or two to get them out of the way. So and fortunately, my flight back didn't require me to go to Charlotte. It went from Dayton to Dallas, DFW, Dallas, and then straight on to Sydney. So that was a long flight, I tell you. It's the longest flight you've been on, Boise. I bet this was longer. So what did you guys think? I'm talking to Boise and John here. What did you think were the best looking tables at Tandy Assembly?
Well, I'll tell you that I thought that the one that the gentleman from Dallas, Joel, with the banners, that was just, that was inspiring to see how he had set that table up. Really, really nice. He was displaying several Tandy computers, a number of Tandy computers on that table. Those were nice with the banners.
I always have some admiration for Pete Satensky and his collection, is the things that he brings and sets up. He had that prototype or concentrator or whatever. Ian probably knows more about it than I do. But
multiplexer box. Yeah, the Tandy only made about 10 or so of them. So yeah, that was it was a big scary looking box of electronics. That's for sure. But yeah, Pete had a lot of interesting stuff there, and he was selling a lot of things this year, which was kind of in contrast to previous years. But he had a good time. But I think Joel's one that we were talking about, Boise, he had like a whole school, had the elements of a school network set up, and it was all actually functional.
Yes, that is correct. That is correct. In fact, the color computer was part of that. Well, it wasn't at his display, but that was I forgot what the network was called, where you could hook up CoCos and Model 3s and so forth through I think it was the cassette port. He had the device there that Radio Shack sold at the time.
Yeah, they sold 4 network systems, obviously called Network 1 through 4. I'm pretty sure that 2 or 3 was the cassette based one, and so in theory you could hook a CoCo in with that network. But yeah, the fact that he got it all there, it all operated perfectly, and his stand was the knockout winner for me. And
who had the Tandy video information systems? Somebody had that displayed there, and I don't know.
That was one of them. That was one of them.
Wow.
Yes. That was one of the displays at that table. It was a very good display.
Very impressive.
Yep.
Another thing I like about the show is that no one's afraid to sort of get out tools and start working on computers right in the middle of the show. There's like Bobby had his head in a computer with his screwdrivers and trying to work out what was wrong with one that had been brought in, and Randy Kindig from the Floppy Days podcast bought me over a Model 3, which he said was a barn find. Could I get it working? Which I did. That's a TRS-80 Model 3, by the way, not a CoCo 3. And it was one of the most dirty, disgusting computers I've ever worked on. I got it to work. He'd done a good job of cleaning it up so it didn't look terrible, but once you lifted the lid on it and looked inside, I said, "Sure, this was in a barn?" He goes, "Well, it was next to a barn on a haystack."
Oh, nice.
Who knows for how long? I like that as well, that people get their hands dirty. You get a crowd standing around watching, taking it in, learning stuff, having a bit of a chat with them, a bit of a joke.
Yeah, I wouldn't discourage that's a pretty common occurrence at Tandy Assembly. And, of course, you're likely to have parts or someone selling parts that you need or missing, or if you're installing upgrades, you're going to have plenty of help to get them up and running from the people that manufacture these things. So always a good thing at the show.
Yeah. Well, it's a good eclectic mix of people at the show as well. Like Jay Neweth, as an example, he's a gentleman who sits next to me. He buys basically broken TRS-80 Model 1, 3, and 4 computers, and he restores some of them, but he always has basically whole computers in pieces there. So any part for those machines required to get them running can be purchased at the event. And if you combine that with the skill set of the people there to determine what is actually wrong with the computer, you could conceivably bring a broken computer, work out what's wrong with it, buy the spare part, get someone, or just install it yourself, and go away with a working computer. So it's really good in that capacity, that it's not just an exhibition. It is a hands-on if you want it to be.
We lined up with Pete and then took 2 steps backwards and let him be in charge. And I think he did a pretty good job of managing the chaos and putting together the event on the ground. So just a little shout out to Pete Satensky. Good job. And thank you, Pete.
And I
didn't even realize that it ran that smoothly that I didn't hardly notice the change in management of the show, which is a good thing. He's obviously done a bang up job at it. So
I want to also say thank you to Randy Weaver for videoing, doing a good job on that. So
you got a lot of audio gear there. It's a mammoth effort to set it all up and tear it all down. And yeah. It was good. The show wouldn't be the same without Randy.
That is very true.
Also, Randy had that Radio Shack sign, which Jim Brain and him had. He and Jim Brain had worked on getting LEDs going. It looked really good. So
they got it running Sunday morning, didn't they? While everyone else was.
Yeah.
So if you have a broken sign, bring it to Tandy Assembly.
Yeah, broken computers or broken signs.
Right.
Bring it down.
You want to tell us about your special suit?
Yeah, talk about that.
I'm a lifelong Doctor Who fan, and I don't know if you guys have watched Doctor Who there, the classic series, but my favourite what tends to happen with Doctor Who fans is your favourite Doctor is the one you watched when you were growing up, and mine was a guy called John Pertwee, who's the third Doctor, who wore a velvet smoking jacket, ruffled shirt, and a velvet bow tie. He was quite the dapper man's man, and so over the years, as I've sort of collected things, I thought, oh, geez, look at this jacket and look at this shirt and everything, and I just thought, you know what, if I'm gonna be the trivia guy, the runner, I'm gonna blow everyone's minds and wear this thing, and everyone who saw me in my suit had a smile on their face, so it worked really well. But unfortunately, I don't have the height or the big mane of grey hair that Doctor Who had. But I think it went well. I was almost thinking one thing to implement at next year's trivia game was anyone in the audience who comes in fancy dress gets a 1 point advantage. See how many people come as their favourite comic book person or other famous person.
You know,
wouldn't be hard to dress as someone like Sheldon. So each of you four gentlemen, what do you think would be a thing you'd like to see at Tandy Assembly next year?
I always would like to see more CoCo. That's just because I'm hard-headed on that kind of stuff. But it is like I said, it's a great event, and people come, and it's a very friendly atmosphere, and there's a good mix of people with great technical skills. And like I said, the only thing that's missing for me is it'd be nice if there's more CoCo. So.
You make a good point there, John. I should emphasise to people who are listening that this is not purely a Z80 or monochrome system event, and it always has had a significant CoCo presence, and probably this year was just due to travel problems and weather condition problems and things like that. But I know that there's some CoCo regulars who would have been there to previous ones that would normally be there, but for various reasons weren't. But the turnout for CoCo stuff is actually pretty good. A little more wouldn't hurt. That's my thought on it.
At this point, I'd just like to see me there as well as Neil.
Ian, I appreciate you joining us and sharing your words and wisdom with us. And I think it's a good time. Good to talk about Tandy Assembly. It certainly deserves our attention. And hopefully it continues. And hopefully you continue to join us and bring Jordy along and make it a big event for everyone.
Yeah, it's been great here. Great being here. I'm happy to talk about this sort of thing. I had a great time at Tandy Assembly. Already looking forward to next year's one, and any time you guys here at the CoCo Crew for my opinion or thoughts or anything, just ask away. I'm happy to join in the conversation here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Great to have you.
All right, guys, take care.
Sales Corner on episode 89 of the CoCo Crew Podcast. Before I go any further, I've got an addendum to make from last month's recording. As some of you probably already know, I never did make it to Tandy Assembly this year, due to being stuck in a political nightmare and the injustices in the world right now. So I'm really hoping things will be back to normal, or normal-ish, for next year so I can attend Tandy Assembly 2023. I haven't seen y'all since 2019, and that's far too long of a wait. I miss all of you. Alright, on a much happier note, I couldn't wait any longer, and had to try the beta release of Space Pirate Kumiko from Chet Simpson. He has released a Septandy playable beta version. I downloaded the disk image he has uploaded to the CoCo Facebook group and put it on an SD card and popped it into my CoCo SDC so I can play it on a real CoCo 3. I didn't want to use any emulators for this one. The only issue I found with the game is it will not load on a CoCo 3 with 2 meg of memory installed. It must be on a 512K CoCo 3. I don't think this is a huge problem, and I'm sure Chet will address this memory issue in upcoming releases. Now, I'm not trying to brag, but I do believe I'm qualified to test and review this game, because Space Pirate Kumiko is a 2D shoot-'em-up scroller game, or, as we used to call these games back in the day, shmups. One of my absolute favorite genres alongside platform games. I've played and still play many shoot-'em-ups to this day. My favorite game console is the TurboGrafx 16, and is known for these style games, such as Blazing Lasers. Kumiko requires a Color Computer 3 with 512K memory, RGB monitor, and a 2-button joystick. Upon loading the game, you are welcomed with a high-res title screen that reads, "The Chronicles of Space Pirate Kumiko, straight gankin' in the dark butthole of space." Well, I thought to myself, perfect timing for feeling sorry for myself, not being able to attend Tandy Assembly. What better way to sow the sorrows than gankin' in the butthole of space? At the bottom of the title screen, it mentions, "Smack that joystick button and go, ah." Well, that's exactly what I did. And the first look at those graphics, I went, ah, in amazement. And I'm sure you will too. 10 seconds into gameplay, and I was immediately impressed with what I was playing and seeing. The graphics are stellar, and it runs at a super fast clip. I played this game for a few hours straight, learning the patterns of the enemies and figuring out the different upgradable weapons and extra bonus items. The object of this game is simple. Shoot and blow up anything that comes at you. The screen scrolls upwards constantly, and along your travels you will have to defeat different enemies and avoid platforms and other objects you may not be able to destroy. There are special weapon upgrades such as double and triple firing, shields to keep your health meter rejuvenated, and bombs to pick up. The first joystick button is your normal firing, and the second joystick button is to drop a bomb. The bombs are very handy, and you save them to use when the screen gets overpopulated with enemies, and you can't tackle them all at once. At the top of the screen is a perfect sized display panel. It shows you your shield health, weapon strength, bombs, and of course your current score. Once you reach over 100,000, the score will read 100K and upward. I thought that was a cool touch. You can store up to 4 bombs and save them for when you are desperate. The second level was awesome. Boulders start coming down the screen, and when you shoot them, they turn into blue spinning rings that you can collect for points. Have I mentioned the animation and graphics are incredible? There are some points during gameplay where the screen is loaded with objects, bullets, enemies, platforms, etc., all while background scrolling is happening at the same time. And it all runs at a super smooth pace, and it doesn't feel one tad sluggish. You can whip around your spaceship all over the screen fast and smooth with no issues, even during intense scenes. Chet has really knocked it out of the park with this game. It checks all the boxes for a 2D side-scroller shooter. Power-ups, weapon upgrades, multi-levels, end bosses, you name it. While playing this game, I truly don't know how a stock CoCo 3 with 512K of memory is running this game. It doesn't even require a 6309 CPU upgrade. Hands down, phenomenal work, Chet. I'll definitely be looking forward to future releases with sound added, and of course, the final version. But no rush. A game like this is meant to take time and well worth the wait. In the meantime, I will be enjoying the beta release. Just for the record, so far my highest score is 194,750,000. I almost made it to 200,000. If you get a higher score or just want to chat about this game, send me some feedback. If you want to give this game a try, you can download it from the CoCo Facebook group. I'm not sure if it's on the CoCo Archives website. If you're not on the Book of Faces and would like to try this game, you can reach out to me here at neil@cococrew.org. Or if you have Chet's contact information, you can reach out to him directly. Well, there you have it. Another game for you to play on your Color Computer 3. Until next month, happy CoCo gaming.
Your computer is an extension of your mind. Doesn't it deserve protection? Why can't the practical look fabulous?
Introducing high-fashion dust covers from Radio Shack.
Tandy has collaborated with fashion designers from Paris, Milan, Barcelona, and Berlin. Introducing the Soft Shield collection by Tandy. Pamper your CoCo with luxurious ermine and silk. Drench your TRS-80 Model 3 in delicious blue velour with faux alligator piping for a whimsical yet alluring look. Bring out the playful side of that Model 4 with emerald and gold serpentine veiling. Your computer will be ready for the runway in no time. The Soft Shield collection, only available at Radio Shack, a Tandy company.
Well, it's that time again. We have reached the end of episode 89 on the CoCo Crew Podcast. As usual, I'd like to thank our host, John Linville, for procuring all the news articles and providing us with informative tech segments. Mike Rowan, for painstakingly editing the podcast and creating those fun commercials. Boise Pete, our CoCo historian. He remembers it, so you don't have to. Ian Mav, for sharing some time with us to record an interview with you. Last but not least, a big thanks to all of you who support and listen to us each month. We also really like hearing from you and appreciate your feedback. Until next month, happy CoCoing and retro forever.
It's a blast from the past.
Please listen carefully.
CoCo. 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 CoCo.
Dance like there's no tomorrow.
What is this crazy rock and roll music anyway? It's a blast from the past.